say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic.
Okay, y'all, think of this as an instructional video on how to make good use of your coronavirus vacation. And this has been a long time coming. My garage has been unorganized and pretty messy, and I've needed to clean it up for a long time, so it's going to take some doing. It's quite a task, but we'll see. I'm going to keep y'all posted daily, and maybe between now and the apocalypse, I can have this place looking good. Okay, update 3 hours later. Well, I'm no Bob Vila, but I would say that it's a marked improvement. Floors are clean. It's just a matter of organize. I need to organize my workbench, get everything in place, but it's looking better. I'm feeling more confident about it. All right, over and out. Okay, one thing I've discovered about garage cleaning is it actually can be a trip down memory lane, and I happened across this. My dad, the last year of his life, was an inspiring sculptor, and yeah, he was a novice, but he wasn't really that bad at it. I think he could have improved had he lived, but this is something bizarre that he did. He decided to do a sculpture of his own head, and for those of you who remember my dad, you can judge for yourself. But anyways, I just thought I would share that. Also, for anybody that knew my dad, they would know that this would have been probably a more accurate portrayal, but he just worked with what he had. But I just thought I would add that in. So here we are the day after, and yeah, my garage is still a storage unit basically, but at least I can get around and it's somewhat organized. I don't trip over things. I can access my workbench. And there's my boat. Might not be much of a boat, but it's paid for. And Foster likes it. So I'm just trying to offer up suggestions for people that are on the coronavirus vacation plan, like me. And yeah, it beats sitting around and thinking about the apocalypse. That's about all. See you soon.
Recording live at Walmart in New Hartford. Look at this. This is the paper towel and toilet paper aisle. Holy smokes, look at that. Nothing here. It's real, folks. Now go get yourself some Corona.
I am the COVID-19. Trump will never stop me.
Hello, American Patriots, and welcome to another episode of the Douglas Ducote Show. My producer continues to pull things out at the very last minute that I'm not aware of and put them out for you to see in the opening of the show, and that was great. I loved it, especially the little coronavirus at the very end there. Folks, wow, we are in some strange times right now, I tell you. First, let me share with you our guest tonight. We're going to have Jessica Vaughn on. She's the Director of Policy Studies at Center for Immigration Studies to talk to us about on the border and how this coronavirus all fits in and what we can expect there. And we're supposed to have Professor Nick Giordano on. Some of you may have seen him on Fox News before, Sean Hannity, Tucker Show. He's a former DHS official with emergency management, and he also is the host of the PAS report. He was scheduled to come on tonight. He still may come on tonight, but he recently, within the last couple of hours, found out that one of his relatives now has the coronavirus. So this is starting to reach out and touch a lot of people. Here in Louisiana, in my location where I'm at, we just had our first case of the coronavirus. Down in New Orleans and Baton Rouge and up in Shreveport is where most of the cases have been. There's over 300 of them. I think 11 deaths as of today for Louisiana. The coach of the New Orleans Saints football team, Sean Payton, has coronavirus. And a lot of different people that are well known now are coming down with it, actors and actresses and people in the music business. And it doesn't care who you are, what religion you are, what politics you follow. It's a bad deal. All right. And those that are elderly or have weak immune systems seem to be the ones that are at the most danger zone for this virus. Everyone else besides that group that I just mentioned, there's a good possibility that if you do get it, you'll be able to get through it okay. Here's the biggest thing about this. With a regular cold or the flu, once you're exposed to it, if you're going to come down with it, you're going to have symptoms fairly quick, within a matter of hours, days at the longest. But here we have something you can be exposed to and not have symptoms for almost a month. So I think that in itself is one of the things that we have to keep in mind as we go about our day-to-day business. And in our day-to-day business, a lot of it is being shut down right now. Numerous places all across the country, they've shut down restaurants, drive-through only. I know they've done it here. I think they just did it out in California. They did it up in Nashville. A lot of businesses are going to be affected. Congress currently is working on getting a relief package out to where supposedly mid-April, everyone will get a check. I don't know how much it's going to be. I've heard everything from $1,500 if you're single to $2,500 if you're a couple, and then another $500 per child. And then I've heard other members of Congress saying that they want to have that to where it's an ongoing payment. Now, members of Congress have way more information than you and I do, okay? They get all types of briefings from, the folks that are looking into this, and the ones that are the scientists and the people that are answering to the vice president. So when they start talking about an ongoing payment plan to people, I'm not liking that. That tells me that maybe we're looking at something that's going to be around for a lot longer than they let us on to believe, and might not just go away in a short period of time. I want to briefly mention to you, while we're talking about the coronavirus, for the longest of time, we've made fun of and made jokes about the far left liberals and their Tide Pod eating challenge that they went through and did. And, calling them Tide Pod eaters because that's what they did. And it seemed funny. Well, just when we thought that they could not do anything more insane, now they have a coronavirus challenge that's out, and you can see it on a YouTube, and it is licking public toilet seats. That's right. I'm going to say that again. The new coronavirus challenge is licking public toilet seats. Playing Russian roulette, basically, whether or not you're going to be exposed to this virus. Those are people that really are just occupying too much space on planet Earth, as far as I'm concerned. They're taking up too much oxygen, because this is just demented and sick on a completely different level than anything else we've ever experienced. And I just recently saw, within the hour, college students being interviewed down in Florida on the beach, Panama City, Fort Walton, Pensacola area, down for spring break. And either they don't know anything about the coronavirus, which I don't know how that's possible, because that's why their school shut down early, or they don't care and think it's all just a big hoax. So they're down there partying. And, what the long run effects of that will be, exposing more people to this, don't know. Have no clue. So anyhow, one of the things that we want you to do, we're going to take calls tonight. So the number will be down at the bottom of the screen where you can call in. In the event that we can't get Professor Nick on, we will use that time to field your calls, because the past few shows we haven't been able to get that many people because we went way over our time frame. So all that being said, I'm going to take a quick little break. And when I come back, I'm going to have a discussion with Jessica Vaughn, Director of Policy Studies at the Center for Immigration Studies. And we're going to talk about the coronavirus. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hello, American Patriots. Douglas Ducote here. The Second Amendment, it's not for hunting. It's for protecting ourselves against our government. Well, the last thing you need to worry about is your weapon being rusted and not working. Folks, here's your product. FirearmGuard.com. Use promo code Doug for free shipping. This will protect your weapon from any rust and mildew issues.
I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic.
And we are back with my guest, Jessica Vaughn. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Are you quarantining yourself?
Not at this point, no.
Okay.
We're not. Just keeping a safe distance and getting out and getting some fresh air. Still working on, trying to get through. Some members of my family are having a tougher time, but we're sticking together.
Excellent. Jessica, I've been saying for a long time now, I've done several videos on it, of the exposure that our men and women on the border and Border Patrol, Homeland Security, deputy sheriff, city police, all law enforcement that are on that border from Brownsville, Texas, all the way to San Diego. They're exposed on a regular basis to all types of diseases. When we went down and we talked to the, especially with the union rep for the Border Patrol, he was telling us about, how there's, at any given point, any particular sector could have between 10 to 20 people that are out of work or not at work because they're sick from something they were, that they got when they apprehended someone coming across the border. And now we have this. Now we have the coronavirus. Are you getting any indication as to how this virus is in Mexico or any Southern or Central America countries and these people coming up? It's bound to happen. They're bound to get it just the same way everybody else is getting it. And then boom, then we have that affecting our people trying to keep us safe on the border.
Right. And what you referred to is one of the really underreported aspects of what goes on at the border and one of the security issues. And you're right, Border Patrol agents and CBP officers are exposed to all manner of hazards, just as TSA agents and others are. And it's a serious occupational hazard. I think concern for the well-being of these agents is one of the things that helped push the immigration leadership in Washington into taking firm steps to prevent the border from becoming a sieve for this virus. And, one of the first things President Trump did was talk about shutting down travel because this was a threat that was coming in from overseas. And some steps have been taken at the physical border itself. For one thing, we're simply not going to process anybody who tries to come to the border illegally at this point in time. Whether they're asking for asylum or what, we're simply not processing them out of concern for the safety of Border Patrol agents and knowing, first of all, you talked a little bit earlier about the incubation period for this virus, the coronavirus. It's a very long period of time. So there's no way that you can actually screen people for their exposure and whether or not they would be carrying it. You might be able to tell if somebody has a fever, but you don't know if somebody's going to suddenly develop symptoms in a week or something after having infected who knows how many people. So the Border Patrol has done the smart thing and said, look, we're not bringing people across for processing and putting them in detention facilities and expose our people and the detainees to any kind of risk from this. We're just going to say you're going to stay in Mexico if you're trying to cross the southern border illegally. Now, unfortunately, they haven't quite extended the same level of control to the legal ports of entry. They're preventing some travel, like you can't fly in from most European countries unless you've been quarantined. But they are letting people cross back and forth from Mexico. We've shut down the Canadian border, but not the southern border. So that's
and there
are like 10 million people who have border crossing cards who are being allowed to come across, and go shopping at Walmart if there's anything to buy, or do whatever they want in Texas and Arizona and California.
Yeah, that's the one of the things that I can't wrap my head around. I heard all this, how we're shutting down the Canadian border, and I'm going, wait a minute. I don't think we've ever had a member of law enforcement get infected by something coming across from Canada, but I know what's happening on the southern border, and we add this into it. Why are we doing this? Or do you have any insight on that as to why we're allowing them to keep coming through the port of entries?
Well, I think part of it is that the governments of the United States and Canada have a better working relationship to begin with. So we're more likely to sort of talk about things and come up with a joint plan and implement it. We don't have that kind of relationship with the government of Mexico. And so we pretty much had to say, you know, we're just shutting it down. And Mexico's leader, AMLO, Lopez Obrador, is not adopting quite as emergency-like a posture in dealing with this crisis. Now, they have cases in Mexico, certainly, but they're a little bit more relaxed in what they're asking Mexican citizens to do. But, you know, that may change once, you know, we keep just sending people back. Now, Guatemala, which is just to the south of Mexico, they have closed their borders. So, you know, Mexico may have to play some catch up here.
Right. So what are we doing with the ones that are, like, let's say, crossing the Rio Grande that we're apprehending? What are they doing with them? Or, I mean, I would think they're not going to put them in the normal detention area with the rest of the folks.
No, what they're doing is basically busing them to the nearest legal port of entry and then sending them back across the border. They're not processing them at all. I mean, that exposes Border Patrol agents to some risk, but it's nothing like the risk that we would have if we actually allowed these people to stay here and, you know, catch and release in place where they would just be released into American communities. You know, that's obviously could be much more of a disaster, but we're taking them and kind of, in a way, throwing them back over to Mexico.
Okay. So currently, right now, as we talk, those that have, that travel across the checkpoints every day for work and then back, they're still doing that? Yes,
that's right. If they have a visa now, they're able to use it. As long as they're not visibly ill with a fever. But of course, you know, as we've discussed, they're not going to catch all of the cases that way. A lot of people are carrying it and are not visibly ill. But right now, if you have a border crossing card or something, you can come over and shop. I mean, it kind of gives you a hint about the priorities of some of the people in charge of our immigration policy, that it's much more important to them to preserve the flow of people moving in and out than it is necessarily to really lock down and keep this virus from spreading in either country. Because the United States actually has more cases than Mexico. Mexico ought to be worried as much about its people coming over here, getting infected and taking it back to Mexico as we should be worried about having it enter through Mexico.
Exactly. When I was down there a few weeks ago, I went inside one of the crossing point areas, to see how that was all set up. And, you know, and I see this huge line of people that go through that process, you know, that get in and show their cards and everything and the checkpoint, and they go through 2 different officers before they finally walk out the door on the other side. They're in America now. And I thought, you know, if they're still using that same plan and there's people mixed in it with that, there you go, right there. I mean, we have, you know, unless they're keeping them 6 foot apart all the way through the line, you're going to have, you know, and there must have been, when I was there at that one point, probably 100 people in line waiting to get through.
Oh, easily. Yes. Routinely.
Yeah. And that's
and not
just
to mention,
one.
A lot of them are from places other than Mexico. You've got people flying into Mexico from Africa, Asia, Europe, and all over the world. And so, and again, it's not like you can screen people in any way whatsoever for carrying this disease. And so Mexico could find itself becoming an incubator or an outbreak center for this. You know, we shouldn't wait for that to happen. I really think that we need to impose more restrictions at the legal ports of entry. And we all recognize that there is some economic disruption from that. But as we've seen, the economic disruption from letting the disease spread and the reaction to that and the panic that happens is much worse than from preventing it from happening to begin with.
How do you see the government's response right now? You feel pretty confident with it?
Well, I think with respect to recognizing and acting on the common sense that, you know, our borders are important in keeping Americans safe, that's something that President Trump has done that is different from previous administrations. Like when we had SARS and Zika and Ebola and all of these other public health threats that have come before, there really wasn't a lot of action taken. The attitude was always like, well, we can control it through our great health system and our screening. But really what you have to do is prevent the travel, prevent the entry. And I think the reaction has been a little bit slow in some areas, but for the most part on the immigration policies and tools, it's been mostly pretty good. Like I said, I think we should be addressing travel over the southern border. Today, the State Department has announced that they're shutting down the processing of visas. So there's going to be a lot more people who have the opportunity, a lot fewer people who have the opportunity to come here on a visa because we're shutting that down. Within the country, USCIS is not processing people. But on the other hand, also the immigration courts and ICE are holding back a little bit too. So, but I think it's been pretty good. I think there are some areas where it could have been stronger. And I think that there are too many special interest groups that have too much influence with certain people in the White House and perhaps at some of the immigration agencies. But for the most part, you know, this administration has been different in seeking to control entry to the United States as a way to keep us safe and healthy. And that's great.
Excellent. Jessica, thank you so much. Where can everybody find you?
Everything we do is at our website, cis.org.
Excellent. Jessica Vaughn, you're a great American patriot, and we're always happy and blessed when we have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking your day to come and do this with us.
My pleasure. Good talking with you. Stay safe.
You too. All righty. So we're going to take a quick break, and we will come back and we'll find out if we've got Professor Nick ready to come on the show with us or not. So stand by, and we'll be right back. Hello, American patriots. Douglas Ducote here. The Second Amendment, it's not for hunting. It's for protecting ourselves against our government. Well, the last thing you need to worry about is your weapon being rusted and not working. Folks, here's your product. FirearmGuard.com. Use promo code Doug for free shipping. This will protect your weapon from any rust and mildew issues. And we are back. And check in with my producer real quick.
All right, Doug.
How are we doing? Do we have a professor with us or not?
Yeah, so as of right now, he hasn't gotten back to me. And,
Okay.
the last we spoke with him, and just so you guys know, we told he was going to try to rush back. And we had told him, look, man, as much as we really want to talk to you because you've got great information and you have the expertise and experience to talk about this kind of stuff, he was going to get into the emergency management end of this from his experience with Department of Homeland Security. He was in New York, so it was obviously the biggest population, the most complex sector he worked in. And he really wanted to come on, but he had a relative at the last minute today, an older relative, so it's pretty scary, come down with COVID-19. And so we told him, look, I mean, you got to take care of your family first. So I'm hoping that's what he's doing right now. Our prayers go out to him. We hope that everything is hopefully going to be okay. A lot of people are still saying online, it's a hoax and all this other stuff. But I will tell you, from here at the Douglas Ducote Show and the people I've been speaking with, as Doug's been talking to other people, and both of us have also been dealing with family members that are sick, not connected to the coronavirus. There's a lot of people that we know that we reach out to that are now starting to personally be affected, whether that be getting laid off from work, getting sent home. There's a number of guys in the Patriot panel that Doug does on Monday night that are now personally being affected by it from their relatives, their wives. So, I mean, this thing is, you could say the response is overblown or, I mean, look, the virus is not a hoax. The virus is real. Now, you could not agree with the response and all this kind of stuff. We may not have all the information yet either. So, I just, our prayers go out to everybody and all of you guys that have been sending in videos and continue to do that because, as I said when we played some stuff this afternoon, that we want to go around mainstream media and we want to go around even the government and we want to hear your stories from on the ground, and whether you have any contacts for us in the medical field that can go on the record or can give us information on the side, email us at breaking@douglasducote.com and I will get back to you, or Doug will get back to you, or Chrissy will get back to you, and we will work on getting your information. If you've got videos you want to share of, whether it be stores or you have relatives that are in the medical profession that want to go on the record and they want to do a quick interview with you, send that to us. As long as we can vet it and we know that it's not a hoax that you're sending us, we'll put that together and air it because it's really about you. And I think the information come from you guys is even more important than coming from the news. And then we try to get people like Jessica and Nick that are actually experts to get into the specific areas instead of just, other streamers. It's all opinion. I mean, these guys are in the trenches and they've been fighting this stuff for years. So, so we'll open up the phone lines if you guys want to call. I just turned on the line. You see it on the bottom of the screen. It's 615-488-4947. And then also, just so you know, maybe I'll put something on later or I'll put it in the chat. There's a backup channel, youtube.com/Freedom Force TV. And I know a lot of you guys just said you did not get notifications on videos today. I just checked my email. I did not get notifications on this tonight or a couple of the things. We ran President Trump's presser earlier today. Did not get a notification for that. So that makes sense. And, Doug doesn't want to, it seems, look, we try to deliver you guys content in the way you like it. And it seems like if we clog up Doug's channel, then some of the important stuff gets pushed down. So I'm going to put some of Doug's things on this youtube.com/Freedom Force TV. There's some other people that want to be interviewed, but we can't do like 20 things a day on Doug's. I might be putting content and pieces together, your videos. So you could go there as a backup. And it's also a backup if they try to take down Doug's channel in the coming week. I've heard from a lot of other streamers. They're having problems where their streams are crashing. So who knows? I mean, I don't know if it's part of a conspiracy or the internet's overloaded because people are sitting at home doing nothing right now. So the internet's overloaded. So who knows what it is? But if you guys want to call on the show right now and talk to Doug, share some of your personal stories, what you're experiencing, I think it's best in a time like this for people to talk to each other and to share stories. So,
exactly. And the number is 615-488-4947. I want to touch briefly on what's going on with the investigation we have with law enforcement while we're waiting on the call lines. I put out a video earlier today addressing that. I go into a little bit of it here. So we have numerous people that are attacking the Douglas Ducote show. They've managed to hack into our email systems, into douglasducote.com. At one point, we beefed up a lot of that to where they can't get back in it. But now what they're doing, because they're relentless, is they go to places that have websites, people that have been on the show before or that I've done videos with, and they have their own personal website. And if they have a contact form there where you can send in information, ask questions or what have you, they just put in my email address and they put in the whatever they're going to write as if it's coming from me. So they've done this like bomb threats, death threats, threats against Black Lives Matter folks, trying to shut me down. That's their whole goal. I am a threat to them. Right now, currently we have the YouTube channel Unread Bat. It's a guy over in Greece that is a coronavirus toilet seat licker. We have the guy that goes by Dougie Ducote the Clown. I think he is the king of the toilet seat lickers. And then there's Trumpster Bob with a whole bunch of channels, and there's Trumpster and conservatives and Trumpster this and Trumpster that. He keeps moving around to try and not be shut down. And these folks are just a few of many, as we find out. I met with federal agents last week with FBI to discuss this case. What I can share with you is that the FBI knows who they are. They know their names. They know their addresses. They've got background information on them, and they are pulling that together. They're waiting, we're going to let them keep putting out their videos. On top of that, we've got our attorney team that has captured every video they put out and going through and finding what classifies as slander and defamation of character, so that we can, in the end, file a lawsuit as well. And also what they've said that are considered as threats to where law enforcement can take them down. And there's been a lot of that. You cannot pretend to be someone else and make a terrorist threat or contact somebody and say you're going to kill them. All right. You can't do that. That is illegal. And some of these people are doing just that. What they did share with me is this is way bigger than just those three clowns. There are other people that are funding some money to make this happen. Luckily, most of the people that watch them happen to come from my channel and go over there because they want to make fun of them in the comment section, and that's fine. Just let them keep spewing their hate. They're not going to go anywhere. They're obviously, if you have nothing better to do in your life but to sit there and make videos trashing Doug Ducote, I mean, talk about renting space in somebody's head, hell, in their life for that matter. Because, I mean, who the hell am I, compared to some of the people that have a voice, thousands of times bigger than mine. So it's good to know that we are on target. In fact, we're over the target. And it is driving these liberals absolutely batshit crazy that they can't find a way to shut me down and get me to stop. But the good thing about it all, like I said, is the FBI is on top of this. There is a full-fledged federal investigation into those three and many others. And in the end, those that are part of Team Ducote and those of you that are American patriots will get the last laugh when they are apprehended, and then we take them through the court system as well for whatever they're worth. And chances are not worth anything. If you look at the way they're dressed, if you look at what's in their background, they're nothing but a bunch of bums that live on the street and, have no life. Teeth are falling out in one of them. The other one's a drunk. Trumpster Bob just sits there and drinks and drinks and drinks. And the more he drinks, the stupider he sounds. And Unread Bat is psycho that's got knives and scissors, and he's beating the wall up and making all kinds of crazy screaming noises. And
Doug, I love you.
And, and then of course, then there's the Dougie Ducote, the clown, that has meth mouth, is what I like to call it, because his teeth are all rotten, and he's sitting there with the camera at an angle looking up at him where you see his boogers and his teeth, and he's just keeps repeating himself.
Hey,
and
Doug. Hey, Douglas. Hey, Dougie. What you doing, Dougie? Hey,
yeah,
Dougie.
that's him. So he plays in traffic, obviously, and but he needs to play on the interstate to make it go a little bit faster with the vehicles that are around him. Anyhow, all that being said, how are we looking on the phone lines?
Yeah, we got a few calls in the queue, so I'm going to go to, just so you guys know, so you don't hang up, I'm going to go to Alicia in Virginia, then we're going to go to Martin in Florida, and then we're going to go to Kathy in Tucson, Arizona. So, and then we're going to just sit around and do impressions of Trumpster Bob all night. You know, it's bad how many videos I had to watch and screen to start working on impressions of these guys. All right, so let's go to Alicia in Virginia. You are on the Douglas Ducote Show with Douglas Ducote.
Hello, Alicia.
Hey, Douglas, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I guess I just had a question about like the flu vaccine that came across my mind. I don't know if my facts are 100% correct, but from what I've gathered, around like 50% of Americans get the flu vaccine annually, and the vaccine can basically kind of build up in your system to where it gives you some immunity to the flu. And 80% of our vaccines are outsourced through China. And so I guess I was just wondering if you feel like that is a safe route for people to still be taking. I know it's, they said like 30% effective from a bad year to a good year. But that's millions of people, you know, that have that preventative measure. So what do you think about that, if we are getting vaccines and stuff from China right now?
That's a great question, and thank you for calling in and asking it. First, let me say this, and I said this in probably every video I've done if I talk about anything medical-wise. I am no expert on the coronavirus. I'm not a doctor, but I do have a lot of doctors in this family. Both my brother-in-laws are doctors. My sister-in-law is a doctor. My wife's cousins, uncles, aunts, just about everybody in the family are doctors. So I get a lot of information from them. All right. I'm not an anti-vaxxer myself, but I will tell you this much. The flu virus, my parents gave it to me, the flu shot to protect you from it, you know, when I was a kid. And then when I went into the military, that was just part of the shots that you got. And what happened with me was I always got sick and I got the flu. So after I got out of the military, I thought I'm not going to do that anymore. As I went on in life and I look at the connection America has with China and the dependency we have on China, I don't know how the hell we got here, but I would not take anything that came from China and inject it into my body. That's just me personally. And from what I've heard and talked with other people that are, you know, folks that are actually in the medical business. On top of that, I've had my pets, veterinarians say, don't give them any products that come from China. And if you look in Walmart or Petco or PetSmart, any of these places that sell products for your animals, it'll tell you right there on the container if it's from China or Indonesia or made in America. And I refuse to buy a product that's not made in America to give to my dog, nor am I going to give it to myself. So I try my best to weed out anything coming from another country. And I think that's just right now, at least, it's a smart thing to do. So for what it's worth, also keep in mind that the flu vaccine that we have currently does absolutely nothing for the coronavirus. It is completely different strain altogether, and it's scary. Hopefully, we're going to get something and get some good indications about how we can help people in the very, very near future with this. So, thank you for your call. Wonderful question, and that's the best I could do to answer it.
Yeah, and I just would want to say, if your dog is eating dog food from China, your dog is eating dog. So your dog is a cannibal.
Probably so.
Yeah, but I just want to remind people too, if you want to know a little bit more about this, Doug went into depth with some of this stuff with Timothy Shea on Tuesday night, and he put up that interview as a solo video on YouTube. And then I got backlogged with DouglasDucote.com, be updated with all the latest videos we did. So go watch that, because Doug does cover that with Timothy. He's got a background in biology and also in politics, so he comes from both sides of those. And then the number of people who actually got the vaccine, and I got this out of a President Trump executive order that was signed about 110 days before the December 29th first outbreak of the coronavirus. It was 45% of Americans get the flu vaccine, and I think Timothy told us it was only, 25 to 35% effective. So I've been in and around politics, this stuff forever. A lot of people like to talk about it. I think stuff like vaccines are a personal issue you need to work out within your family. I don't like to tell people one way or another, what they should or shouldn't do, but I think you're right, Doug. Anything that comes from China, I will go on the record saying no, no thank you. I'm not going to stick myself with a needle that came from China, especially after this.
Or if it came from anywhere in the Southeast or Southwest Asia, for that matter. Just don't freaking do it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's go to Martin from Middleburg, Florida. Martin, you are on the Douglas Ducote Show with Douglas Ducote.
Hello, Martin.
Hey guys, how y'all doing tonight?
Doing great.
Hey, I got a couple things I want to run by you. First off, Dustin, the conversation me and you were having in the comment room about Governor Newsom, I did not know that, so I stand corrected. First off, Doug, you're gonna understand this from the situations that you've been in. I just came from Walmart here a couple hours ago. So far, since this has been going on, I've seen 2 fights in the toilet paper aisle. Things have been getting out of hand at this Walmart, but you're starting to feel a predatory feeling when you start going to these places. Yes. I just want to give that shout out to people, because don't let your women go out by themselves. Don't go to these places unless you're in groups, 2 or more, because I'm telling you, you can feel it. And Doug, you know what I'm talking about. You've been in these situations. And my stand in law enforcement, I worked at a prison, and you get that feeling real quick. So I just wanted to throw it out there. Now, I also have seen that, Clay County Sheriff's Department here is, they're a lot more visible than they normally are. I've seen them in places that I don't normally see them. But you guys just keep in mind, man, don't go out there by yourself, because people are getting crazy.
Yeah, very, very well said. And here's my prediction: the longer this goes on, especially when we start running out of being able to back up these stores, then there's going to be some bad things happening in the street, because I'm amazed at the younger people that I've seen interviewed on different programs recently that don't even know what the coronavirus is, or think it has something to do with the Corona beer. I mean, they're completely and utterly clueless. So when they can't get food, what do you think is going to happen? All right. So yeah, I'm concerned about that. I feel it too. And just keep packing.
That's
the best thing I can say.
And Doug,
keep looking over your six.
I mean, you brought up a good point the other day. I can't remember if it was on a show or if it was a conversation we were having. I mean, look, in these heavily populated areas, these inner cities that are run by, let's just be honest, they're run by like communist dictators. I mean, these are sick people that are running Chicago, running San Francisco. I mean, all over the country. These are the people who let the homeless camp out and crap all over the streets. These are the people that want to abort your children, every 2 minutes with the government funds.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys right now in a number of cities are letting people out of the jail, and then at the same time, they're actually saying to the cops, we're not going to enforce property crimes. So in Philadelphia,
Right.
you could literally get arrested if you own a bar and you have more than 10 people in there. But someone who comes and kicks the window in and raids your bar isn't going to get arrested. These people that are in power are not stupid. They're not incompetent. These guys are evil. They are setting up a situation for looting to occur. And we've seen this pushed by, the progressive Democrats, whether that be under the Occupy Wall Street movement, under the BLM movements, after hurricanes, where they literally set up these situations with stand-down orders and they let these people loot. And one of the things that I'm concerned about for the truckers, who are the backbone of America right now, I've heard reports, I'm trying to get some on a special show with Doug. They're shutting down the rest stops. These guys can't get food, and they're putting out porta potties for them, which are like the most diseased things that you could possibly walk into. The guys who are going to literally they decide your life if you're going to get goods or not. And what I fear, this is not, put yourself in the shoes of a criminal. Are you going to go break in the store and steal whatever's left of the couple of cans of soup in a couple of weeks? Or are you going to start using your gangs to hijack trucks? You know that's coming. That's like the old Italian mafia days. You hijack the truck.
Yeah.
And I fear for these guys' lives. I really do. It's just in some of these areas, they are setting up a situation for complete and total chaos and criminality. And it's disgusting to watch. These mayors should be locked in prison for this.
And they're announcing, a lot of different places right now are announcing that law enforcement will not respond. So do not call 911 unless your life is in danger at that particular moment, or you have witnesses and know who caused the crime. If you don't have those combinations, they're not coming to your house to take the report. Well, now the criminals know this because you just told it to them. And now we've got all across the country, and it just happened right here in Lake Charles, Louisiana, where the judges are letting people out of jail because they're worried about them spreading coronavirus in the jail. So we're letting criminals out. And I don't know what type we're letting out. I don't know. Hopefully it's not anyone with, felony convictions. Hopefully it's just minor stuff. But that's happening across the country right now. And that's some scary shit. So who do we have on the line now?
And I just wanted to point off one thing I wrote down I forgot from Jessica's interview. One of the biggest issues that Doug covered it was an article we had found from a doctor a couple of weeks ago when this all started. One of the biggest issues wasn't necessarily the virus, but it was going to be the overwhelming of the ER system, the emergency rooms, because once you got to exponential growth, they were going off Italy's numbers that 10% were going into the hospital.
Yes.
So as Jessica pointed out, we have over 10 million of these border crossing cards in circulation. Those are people that could come in and out. They can stay for up to 30 days within like a 50-mile radius of the border. But it's always been this way in this country. Illegal aliens could go to the hospital, and the hospital has to take them. These people that are legal coming with border crossing cards could go to the hospital. Those are millions of people that are going to become part of overwhelming the healthcare system. And it's not just being able to treat people that get infected with COVID-19, but in the United States, there's only 1 million hospital beds, 65% of which are occupied on any given day. All of a sudden, it becomes overwhelmed with these type of patients. And then what happens if your mother has a heart attack or your grandmother falls and bangs her knee?
Right.
That was the concern initially coming out of the healthcare ER sector, was the overwhelming of the healthcare system. And I'm starting to see articles. I know some nurses in different hospitals that are giving us info. Like, that's really what I want to find out. So if you know anyone, we want the truth. We don't want some hoax, fake nurse and that kind of stuff, but we really do want the truth because it is our responsibility to report to you, just like when we started to show kind of ahead of everybody else the empty shelves at the stores. That wasn't to create panic. That was to let you know it was not a hoax, that shelves were going empty. And if you needed to buy things for your family, you should pretty much hurry up and do it, because you don't want to sit at home going, oh, it's a hoax, and then show up at the store and there's nothing left for you to purchase. And anything you purchase, remember, you're buying things that you could use later on down the road. So it's not going to go to waste. Don't buy things that you're going to waste. All right, let's go to Kathy in Tucson, Arizona. You're on the Douglas Ducote Show with Douglas Ducote.
Hello, Kathy.
Hello, this is Kathy Gall, and let me tell you something. 2 months ago, when I knew about this virus, I was never a prepper, never stored food, and when I first seen this, I went, oh my God, this might be real. So I was watching people's channels and started going to the dollar stores and buying 2 cans for $1, this and that, and trying to prep a little bit. Well, I was a server at Costco of samples, and the more I seen, I went, oh my God, this is for real. Well, I tried to tell my boss and tried to tell everyone about it. Something really bad's going on, get your food, start prepping, and everybody laughed at me. I mean, everybody cracked up. And I told my boss, I said, it's not going to be long before they're going to shut our jobs down. And I'll be damned, like 2 weeks later, she said, well, you can either come in Costco, you have a choice, stay off for a month, or you can clean Costco's floors and clean the tables at the picnic areas, if you still want to come in. And I chose the month off. Meanwhile, prepping. I'm like, fuck, this is really bad. Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have cussed. But anyway. Yeah. Long story short, and so here I am, first time in my life. I'm getting all this stuff together, thinking, oh my God. Before any stores were empty, before anything happened, I started gathering stuff up for the first time in my entire life. Now, so as I'm telling my friends, this is something really bad's going on, the banking, all this stuff. Well, let me tell you today, I have been in my house since my job's been over with. I barely go to the grocery store, and I have been in my house for a couple weeks, barely going. I live way out in the country, but we do have a couple dollar stores. There's a sheriff station, and like I said, I'm like 20 miles out into the country. Now, we have Border Patrol. I'm an hour away from the border in Tucson, Arizona. I could tell you every Border Patrol truck, every SUV, every single one, and the sheriffs, all the cars. I went into this corner store, and there was this guy standing behind me. Really, I'm sorry, what?
I said, make it quick.
I'm sorry,
we
what?
got other people waiting to get on.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so, what I want to say is I went into a corner store, this guy in this dark outfit that I've never, ever seen before was standing behind me. And I thought, what the hell kind of uniform is that? Go outside, and there's this huge, almost like a army, well, it was army. On the back it said army truck, and there was 2 guys. I've never, ever seen it out here before, ever. So today I went to the store. I was going down the road on Ahaway, that would be 86, and there was these white trucks that they were in front of me, they were behind me, they were coming towards me, and they kind of looked like a utility truck, like a phone utility truck, but they had these bars on the back of them, and on the front of the license plates were white license plates with blue letters, and I was like, what the hell is that? Well, when I went to my girlfriend's house and I go down this really secluded back road, down this dirt road, I'll be damned. There was one behind me. There was one coming towards me. And when I got on my friend's road, which was a busy road, there was two going down that road. So I get to her house and I told her these white trucks are... Huh?
Did you ever figure out who they were?
Oh no, her line just dropped. I think what happened was, did she say she was stocking up on Jack Daniels all week? I'm watching the chat over here.
I'm not sure. That might have been.
Hey, look,
I'm not sure what the truck people were.
I know a lot of people are getting cabin fever. Rob Knorr, who streams with Doug sometimes, this guy was a college debate champion. Today he's texting me all day drinking because he can't go to work, and he took a day off of streaming, and the next thing you know, the world's collapsing. He's watching the news, it's the end of the world, and he's sitting home drinking. And I said, hey man, so I got my 10-year-old kid. He has a pretty successful lemonade business, so we're thinking of launching like a moonshine distillery during this depression and rise out of this thing like the Kennedy family with billions of dollars in the end and set him up to run for president in 25 years. So I think it's going to be pretty good. So let's go to Steve from North Dakota. You're on the Douglas Ducote Show with Douglas Ducote.
Hello, Steve.
Hey, Doug. How you doing, man?
Doing great. And yourself?
Hey, doing good. Say, Doug, thank you, buddy, for your patriotism, your hard work. It just grieves my heart to hear about the threats you and your family are encountering.
Thank you.
I think it's really a sad day in America, what we are seeing here. And, especially I see some of the Democrats praising Donald Trump now because he's going to be dishing out a lot of money to a lot of people. And the reality of that is that money's going to run dry again. And this is just absolutely what the socialists want.
That's exactly what it is. It's socialism on a new scale that we've seen it a couple of times in America, but here we are going to see it in a way that we haven't before.
That's exactly right, Doug. And I just wanted to just voice that because the well's going to run dry. Our current economy, our debt cannot sustain its current growth. The balloon's about to bust.
I agree, and hopefully we're going to come out of it okay in the long run on the other end of it. But I agree. It's something that it's unprecedented, and it's something that we've never seen it on this large of a scale in our lifetime, at least. But thank you for your call. And be blessed, brother. Be safe out there.
Yeah, Doug. One more thing. I'm 68 years old. I've never seen anything quite like this. And just in a closing note, we are in very prophetic times.
I agree, brother. Be safe. Thank you.
All right, so let's go over to Tina from Michigan, and it's about 10 after. So if you want, we can take 2 more calls after that if you want to call, and then we'll wrap this one up because
sounds good.
Yeah, and Doug, I just wanted to ask if you're comfortable sharing it because when you told me, it was pretty amazing, and again, this is now someone like yourself personally affected by it. The situation with your mother-in-law who just survived, open heart surgery, and now the situation in the hospital there in Lake Charles. Because I think that when you told me, I said, "Wow, that pretty much shows that this is something the medical professionals are really worried about."
Yeah, she came down with a virus, and she's been in the hospital for, I don't know, 7, 8 days now. And yesterday they cut off all visitation to anyone in the hospital. So that's it. You know, you can't go up there and see your loved one. And there's no cases. Today was the first time that they've admitted we have a case of coronavirus here in our area. And they're allowing them to stay self-quarantined at home. So I hope they're monitoring it. I don't know. But yeah, we can't go up and see her now because she's got to have like several weeks of antibiotics via IV. So she's going to be in the hospital for over a month by herself.
Yeah, and they essentially have her quarantined so that she doesn't catch something while she's recovering, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah, and then
it's there. You know, your immune system when you get up in your 80s, you know, let's just face it, or even in your 70s for that matter, your immune system is gets weaker, and we're subject to a lot of different viruses and diseases on a regular basis in America, much less something like this that we have no way to inoculate you from it or give you antibiotics for it. So, I mean, they made the right decision to stop from visitors going into the hospital. I get it, I understand, because if she gets anything else or exposed to anything else, that would not be good.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. A friend of mine worked in as a nurse at Yale University Hospital back during the Ebola scare. So they had those guys. They had a couple brought in to be treated for Ebola, and they had them quarantined, right, so that the Ebola won't spread through the hospital. In this particular case, there's germs flying everywhere, so they have to quarantine your mother-in-law who doesn't have that, to protect her. And in the case of Jonah, my son who was sick, he ended up with a viral infection, kind of a freak thing, in his the sac around the heart, in the fluid. The weird part is, I mean, he's recovering, everything looks real good, but they don't know what the virus was. So I'm like, Jesus, I want to know if it was something that was caused, by something related to COVID, but they don't really know. I mean, it's a freaky, freaky time. So let's go over to Tina from Michigan. You're on the Douglas Ducote Show with Douglas Ducote.
Hi,
Hello,
Doug.
welcome. How are you?
First of all, I want to start off and thank you so much for your channel. I learned so much from you. You're just an amazing person, and God bless you and your family. I pray for you every day. My question is, here I'm in Michigan, and as of yesterday, we had 155 cases of coronavirus. We did lose a person, 50 years old, from the virus, but our governor has called out the National Guard. So I'm assuming she's activated them. I'm sorry. She's activated. I'm assuming they're going to put Michigan on lockdown. Can you please explain to me what lockdown means?
Okay. The purpose for the National Guard being called out at this moment is, first off, you have to think that the National Guard has all the same jobs that are in the civilian sector. They have it in the National Guard. So they're only activating guard units that can be helpful in this situation. And basically those are those in the medical field, doctors, nurses, x-ray technicians, blood drawers, all the medical type units are being activated. Transportation units are being activated, helicopters, trucks, so that they can get relief supplies and medical supplies to different locations across the country. So it's going to be a big, huge effort with the National Guard working in conjunction with the civilian sector to help them because they're going to be overwhelmed. So what the National Guard is going to do with the medical side of the house is they're going to set up these medical field tents, basically, that they have over in places like Afghanistan and Iraq, or when we're in combat situations where troops will be treated at. And they're really cool tents, actually. They blow up, they have air conditioning and heating, and it's not like you're in a regular tent with no floor or anything like that. And they're going to take the regular sick people out of the hospital to free up beds so that those with coronavirus can be isolated in the hospital. So these military field units, and it's the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, they're going to set up at all the different major hospitals around the country. Then there will also be some military police units that will be activated, and their purpose is going to be to help augment local law enforcement, because law enforcement officers are going to be exposed to what? Coronavirus. Just like firefighters. They're going to be activating National Guards members that are firefighters that will be able to help with, with different engine companies across America. So the whole thing is just to help support the civilian sector to fight this disease. And as far as martial law is concerned, there's a whole lot of people that are spreading that information out there. And right now that is not true. Can that change? Of course it can. What happens in the future, I don't know. But I don't see us going there. I could see it happening in certain sectors of America where you have more violent crime than others. Like, I don't know, let's see, Chicago, for instance, where they're actually asking the gang members, putting out in the paper and on the news, please stop shooting each other. All right, because we have hospital beds that need to be freed up for sick patients, not your ass with a bunch of bullets in you. So I can see them being involved with locking down places like that, where if you come out of your house, then you will be arrested. But for the rest of us across America, I don't think we'll see anything like that. The whole thing with the National Guard is just to help augment the civilian sector, and the National Guard can do it excellently. I mean, they're very, very good at their job. So I hope that answers your question, and thank you so much for calling.
Keep your eye out, because we will get Professor Nick Giordano on as soon as we can, and even if Doug has to pop it out as a solo video, because Nick will talk about this from his experience as an emergency management planner for Department of Homeland Security in New York. That was one of the topics he was going to address for you guys. What exactly is martial law? What could be done under martial law versus what might happen under actual CDC regulations that were passed under Obama that allows them to quarantine some people. There are two different things. And again, I think Doug's been very, open and honest about that, saying, look, if I get information that it's going to happen, nationwide on a federal level, I will come out and be the first guy to tell you as soon as I get a text from a buddy and it's something that I can vet. Because, we want to bring you the information. It's not like, we're going to hide anything from you. It's just right now, as he's explained, and it actually calmed me down a little, how the National Guard works in these kind of emergency situations. The big question to me on this.
California, just breaking news right now in California, the governor orders all 40 million residents of the state to stay in your house and do not come out.
Well, there you go. So Doug just said it. Doug, see that? Doug just reported it, and he had no problem doing it. All right. So let's go. Yeah. And I'll tell you guys, we'll take, because there was a couple more, we'll take these last three calls and wrap up, so don't call anymore. We're going to go to Donna from West Virginia. We're going to go to Alicia from Virginia, and we're going to go to Andy from Colorado. So you guys hang on. Try to make the questions tight, just because we're going to wrap up, and then there's some new content and things we're working on that we want to try to get out over the next few days, so we got to get right back to work on that. So Donna from West Virginia, you are on with Douglas Ducote on the Douglas Ducote Show.
Yes,
hello, Donna.
And I was wanting to tell you they haven't found one case in the Eastern Panhandle with coronavirus, and people are shutting down. The restaurants are shutting down. Only drive-through only. And then we went to the vet for my sister's dog today, and we had to sit in the car and have them to come out and get us. whenever they was coming in, and my sister had to go in by herself because they wouldn't let me go in with her. And I'm just hoping and praying that all this will leave eventually. And I'm praying for you and your staff and your family.
Thank you so much. And yeah, we're experiencing that exact same scenario here in Louisiana. You can't even go into your vet. They will meet you outside and take your pet from your car and bring it in and tell you when to come back and get it the same way, along with your credit card to charge you. And boy, do I have a nice bill every month with my dogs, because one of them's always got something wrong. But yeah, when the restaurants are closing down, it's drive-through only or takeout. So America as a whole is experiencing this, and those places that have it will. So it's just a matter of time. Thank you so much for your call, and please be safe.
And I know you guys are asking me to get this message to Doug in the chat, so here, we'll do this to make you happy. But I will tell you, Professor Nick today, relative, this is real, it's not fake, was infected with COVID-19. And then Dan Golvach, Angel Dad, real good friend of our show, his girlfriend's coworker was diagnosed. They shut the whole office down. So for everyone who's like believing that the actual COVID thing is a hoax, look, that's not a hoax. Again, we could debate the response, and we could debate whether or not the task force is being honest in what this actually is. Maybe it's more dangerous than we know. That we don't really know. But they do have it, but you want us to do it, so you guys could do it in the chat. How many people know someone who has it? Press 1. If you don't know anyone who has it, press 2. But I am telling you, I'm 100% confident, as someone who was skeptical from the beginning, that the virus itself is real, because I know doctors and nurses that we've been talking to as well that have told us they've diagnosed people with it. So,
and just a correction, Professor Nick does not have it. It's a relative of his that has it.
Yes, a relative. But so we're knowing people now, friends of the show that actually have people they know personally that have it. All right, let's go to Alicia from Virginia, and then we'll go to Andy from Colorado and wrap this one up. So,
hello,
Alicia,
you're on with Douglas Ducote. How are you?
Hey, Doug. So I might have missed this from the previous caller as I was trying to call in and couldn't do both at the same time. But I guess with like the National Guard and the government action, I was wondering if there's any red line that you have with the action that they may be taking in the future that kind of might be like, whoa, that's too much, such as what we've seen in China or around, that maybe some of us could, kind of go, okay, it's okay right now, this is for good measure, to it's crossing a line.
Yeah, exactly. Great question, and thank you for the call. Yes, with everything everything the government's doing right now and governors are doing with the National Guard, I'm 100% for. That's what they're there for, to help in emergency situations, regardless if it's a hurricane or tornadoes or floods or fires out west. The National Guard gets activated to help with that. In this case, it's a virus. So they're going to be activating units that can be helpful with this particular situation. As far as enforcing any type of laws, that'd be actual military police units, and I can see them being used, and I would agree with this, in situations where there's going, and I do firmly believe we will see very soon rioting happening in the streets and different places across America, like we've seen in the past in Ferguson, Missouri, and LA, just to name two, where people just go nuts. And I can see that happening here all across the country, and military police being involved to help stop that. But other than that, the units that are being activated are medical and transportation to get supplies and medical needs out there, and doctors and nurses that are National Guard members to assist with the hospitals. So, hope
Doug,
that
if
answers your question.
Doug, if you can, just let your buddies in the military police units that will be in Nashville know that this time around, I'm getting my flat screen TV and my Air Jordan, so please don't shoot me.
I will put that out there.
Yeah, I've watched for 39 years, and I've been so upset with myself every time these things happen that I don't go get a flat screen TV, you know? So let's go to Andy from Colorado. You're on the Douglas Ducote Show with Douglas Ducote.
Hi, Dustin. I'm laughing at what you said. Hi, Douglas. So anyway, this is Sandy in Colorado, and what I wanted to talk about, first of all, I want to say bless both of you. I've got your families in my thoughts, and Douglas, I'm so sorry that you can't get up to the hospital. This is tough. I used to work at a hospital in Wisconsin, one of the largest ones, and I supervised the 4 to midnight inpatient ER admits. We did triage, but this is just above and beyond what we would have practiced for. My daughter trained with Homeland Security several years back, and so she's got enough under her belt. I did check with her, and at this point, they are not being required to stay at the hospital. She kind of put it to me like she's kind of waiting to hear that, though. So, just I've got everybody in my thoughts that are first responders and in that field, and our military, everybody. So what I wanted to talk about was the students that are partying down on the beach in Florida and that kind of don't believe this is really real. And Dustin, you said it, the hoax thing. I have a relative that believes this is a hoax, went into a hospital with their little baby, and then went right over to my 94-year-old mother's house. And as you can tell, I'm pretty livid that they don't care. Douglas, if you were had a role that you could play in terms of handling the partiers on that beach and getting them to understand what, quarantine in place or whatever is, how would you handle that? That's my question.
Well,
Thank
I
you
would
so
handle
much.
it, and thank you for calling. I would handle it the same way that it's starting to be handled right now, which I think they're a little late doing it, but they're going to be ran away. The governor, for instance, down in Florida, has put out that the hotels need to go down to 50% occupancy. They can only, how many beds they have in their hotel, they can only now go down to 50% they can have there, period. And that's going to be for first responding type people, put National Guard members, reservists, things like that in them. They're shutting down the restaurants as well to just drive in or and take out, and they're closing down all the bars. So these kids aren't going to have anything to do. They can't get their beer. They can't go dancing. They can't go out to restaurants, and they're going to be kicked out of the hotels. So they can sleep on the beach all they want in certain places, but basically their spring break is going to end real soon here, and they will be sent back wherever they came from. So that's currently happening.
And Doug, just to report to you, in Florida, personally, some of our researchers, affiliates that live down there, they were getting cabin fever, trying to take their grandkids and kids down to the beach because everything else is closed. They figure, well, the beach will be empty and at least they could do something. They actually are shutting beaches down now as well. That's in Miami. That's up in Clearwater. And then my mother, who's down in Texas near Brownsville where we were, there's an island out there. A lot of spring breakers are out there. Governor Greg Abbott actually a couple of days ago started moving them off there. Yep. So that stuff is starting to be shut down. I think you're right. If you were going to do it a little earlier, would have been better, because now you're going to have tens, hundreds of thousands of spring breakers that are going to be not going back to school, or they'd be quarantined up in their dorms. They're going to be going back to their families and back to their grandparents. I mean, and that is a concern. So,
well, Yeah. So are we, was that it on the phone lines?
Yeah, I wrapped up the phone lines. And guys, I want to really thank you guys for calling in. I mean, when we started doing this a few weeks ago, exactly what we're hearing from you is why we do this. It's so that you guys could hear each other, know there's other people out there like you, know there's other people out there that you can talk to, you could be friends with. Right now, you could go to bordercommand.com and sign up for the forum and actually start talking with each other on there. And then I'm actually very close to having it done on Doug's site as well, and it gives you guys a place to go hang out with like-minded people. I mean, you know, you all coalesce around Doug and some of the other Patriot streamers you watch, and just have conversations, be there to support each other. You know, we don't know. I mean, President Trump the other day mentioned this could go to August. We've heard now, I know I interviewed somebody who was on the task force conference call who said they're saying maybe longer. Now there's talk that the Trump administration has been looking at this 18-month plan. I mean, who knows? But I think the best thing to do, as long as we have the internet, is to keep doing these shows, getting you information, bringing experts on, and letting you guys talk, because I think it really does help. And it encourages me when I hear you guys call in and thank Doug and thank us for what we do. It really keeps us going because, you know, this is a depressing time. I mean, you look ahead and you go, God, I don't care about me. I really don't care about me. I'm 39, and I didn't grow up with the internet in my pocket. So if everything shuts off, I could make my way. But it's my kids and all of your kids and grandkids out there that I really feel the pain for, man, because I don't know what's around the corner for them.
Exactly. Yeah, I understand that. All right, folks. Well, anyhow, thank you for so much, as my producer was saying, that you take the time to come over and watch our show. We do this for you guys. All right. It's all about the 2020 elections and beyond to continue to make this the greatest country on earth and keep it that way. It's up to us to put out the factual information, to fight the far left liberals and the Democrats, and hopefully take some of that knowledge and get it into the heads of our youth. And that's actually starting to happen as well. And we have teamed up in the past with some of the younger YouTubers that are helping to spread the conservative voice out there. And that's what this is all about. All right. What can we do? What can you do to help make America the greatest country on earth? And, you know, share these videos, share my show, tell people about it. And let them know about other conservatives and Republicans that have YouTube channels as well. The good thing is we're the only people, the conservative and Republicans, that have a decent following, you know, that have over 100,000 subscribers, in some cases, you know, 60, 70,000. But, you know, the liberals and the Democrats, you know, they're lucky if they have 500 subscribers. So that's the good news. It's working. And by them attacking us, it shows that we are over the target and we are hurting them bad, because they have nothing better to do than to sit there and put out hateful, lying, despicable, disgusting videos to talk about us. And for some of them, their day dealing with Lady Justice is right around the corner. And that's going to be a happy day. Trust me. Anyhow, thank you so much. If you haven't already done so, please go to DouglasDucote.com and sign up for your email address. It's free, costs you nothing to get on our newsletter, and also where you can get content there that you can't get anywhere else. On Facebook, American Patriot by the Grace of God, and The Douglas Ducote Show. And I used to be on YouTube, but I've been banned for life. I mean, not YouTube. I used to be on Twitter, but I got banned for life. And I do believe at the rate we're going, as we get closer to 2020, I'll be banned on YouTube, which is why we started DouglasDucote.com, so that when they shut us down in other places like they did over Twitter, we have a place to go, and you have a place to go to continue to get the message. I will continue to put out the facts as I know them, where I'm getting the information from. And as you know, those that follow me and have followed me for a long time, if I get something wrong, I'm the first person to come back, put out a video, and let you know that I got it wrong. I admit when I make mistakes, unlike those on the far left and even some on the far right that continue to press and put out false information and propaganda that's just not true. You know, there's enough happening with the left and the Democrats that's right in our face that needs to be called out. Making up stuff, there's just no reason for that. It's a waste of time. Anyhow, as always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, all those in our hospitals that are working, our doctors and nurses and staff, our angel families, our blue and gold star families, our president, and our country. We will get through this. We will get through it together, and we will be better for it in the long run. Thank you all for tuning in to the Douglas Ducote Show, and we will be back next Tuesday night at the same time, 8 p.m. Central. Take care, everyone, and God bless.
I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic.